Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Overwatch Central. Roadhog is back, and in a pretty big way as well. We'll be talking about the stats that sort of back this up, his pick rate and stuff across all of the different tiers, why he's been played more, those kind of strategies, and just talking about the meta for tanks as a whole, because as Roadhog has gone up, a few of the other tanks have gone down in popularity, so it's a good time to be talking about that. And it isn't strictly just, oh, bunker comp, I think it's a lot more serious actually. Before we begin, a quick shout out to HyperX, one of our sponsors that we've been working with for quite some time. And also worth adding that the HyperX Cloud 2 headset is the most popular headset for all of the Overwatch pros in the league. So if you want high quality, check them out. But back to the video. Here we are on Overbuff, and this is Roadhog's stats across all of the different tiers in the last 3 months. As you can see, it's very much climbing. Going from a low, the dip around the start of March was about 2.27%, and now it's sort of plateaued around 4%. But what's interesting is if you go through each of the tiers, so if we go from bronze to silver, you can see that Roadhog's pick rate is about the same, if not a little bit higher than it was before. And this is kind of the trend as you go through the different tiers. The higher you climb, the more the rise is. With the highest pick rate across all of the tiers being in Grandmaster, and usually this is a nice little red flag I suppose to show that there's a shift in meta. It's not strictly one of those cases where, oh, the pros are doing it, therefore you should as well. There's definitely a trend that's happening, and I think when big changes like this happen in the highest tier of Grandmaster, that's certainly worth noting. If this rise happened in Silver, I don't necessarily think it's as impactful to everybody else, right? So whilst yes, we are looking at GM here, it doesn't strictly mean that it doesn't affect you if you're in gold or plat or bronze, because as I said, a shift in meta, especially with all of the other tanks. This is the most impactful change that we've seen, less than 1% in February, and gradually climbing over the previous season, and now reaching an all-time high at the moment, around 7%. To give you some context with all of the other tanks in GM, where does he fit? Well, we can look by going over the last 6 months, 3 months, this month, and then this week. You can see that Roadhog is at the bottom with a big amount of distance between him at 5.92% to Reinhardt and Zarya, who are at like 23%. Good to last month, they're still at the bottom, but their pick rate has doubled. This month, Roadhog is in amongst the other tanks. Only Orisa D.Va picked more in the highest tier. And then this week, he's overtaken D.Va, who is one of the most prevalent heroes in the meta. So yes, I really think that this is worth talking about, and if you're a Roadhog player, a really good opportunity. This is where I also like to look at the pro scene too and see exactly how the pros are effectively using him. His pick right there, and again, much like a lot of heroes in the highest tier, unless it's in GOAT's comp, he hasn't been used an awful lot. His pick rate has gone up over the past week, which has been the playoffs, which, you know, is a very important time. This is where teams want to play their best compositions. Roadhog was used this week, so some teams really do think he's quite impactful and good in certain scenarios, but he's certainly not at the level of Zarya or D.Va, who are picked 80% of the time, which is fairly ridiculous. But I really want to focus on where they're using him, because there's 2 major compositions that he's been used in, and both of these, unlike GOATs, will affect you in some capacity no matter what rank you are. And I think that this is really important to note. The first is bunker comp. Most of you understand this, we've spoken a lot about it recently ever since Baptiste was added into the game. It's a stationary composition. I just wanted to use the gameplay from Paris Eternal versus London Spitfire because I think this is the epitome of this composition. But what I also do like about bunker is it's quite vague in what heroes that you can use. It just follows a certain pattern or rule, but you can mix and match certain heroes. Unlike GOATs, where, you know, you have to have certain heroes in that lineup, bunker tends to have an Orisa for the most part, but you can swap in heroes like D.Va, Roadhog, Widowmaker, Junkrat, Bastion, Hanzo, Torbjorn, Baptiste, Ana, Zenyatta, Mercy, all for the supports, DPS, tanks. And I did mention Roadhog in there, as he is one of the best tanks to run in this composition. His synergy with Orisa is amazing, and he's just a really good tank at being able to get those picks to pull people in situations where Bastion or Junkrat can do a lot of damage to them. He's just really good at staying in one spot and being very difficult to move. Most of you understand that. Most of you know how frustrating it can be playing into a composition like this. Let's say you're on Paris or Temple of Anubis and you're running into a bunker comp. it can be very frustrating to play into, but not only that, it can be very boring to play into and also to play as, I guess. I pointed this out in another video, but a friend of mine, Cameron, who is a main tank player that has played in a semi-pro level, did point out that he preferred playing goats to playing a reset in his composition. But when I asked him about it, I was like, are you guys just playing a lot of bunker? And the answer was no. In fact, he gave some reasoning. To take some quotes and paraphrase a few things, he said that right now in a team environment, goats is still the best composition in the game. To have the communication and coordination, when you're playing as a full team, practiced and, well coordinated, goats is still the best comp to run, hence why the pros are still running it. However, in ranked, it just requires some form of teamwork and for players to pop off. So for the most part, or at least in his experience, the majority of players are running 3 to 4 DPS every single game. So he tends to find himself playing Orisa because she tends to be the best tank to play in those comps. You do have stuff like Wrecking Ball that can work, but as he said, it requires a lot of teamwork. But that's the other composition that Roadhog has been used in. Not quad DPS, but triple DPS. And this is what even some of the pros have been playing, at least over the last couple of weeks. You have the main tank on Orisa, 3 DPS, and then one of the flex support players on your team playing the Roadhog. Seeing players like Bedosin, Keo, Violet, Unco, all picking up the Roadhog in these compositions, mostly on stuff like Junkertown, but also used in areas like Paris, Temple of Anubis, Eichenwald, Oasis, in a lot of random situations, again much like Symmetra as we've highlighted in the past. So there are two main compositions that Roadhog has grown in popularity with alongside Orisa. Bunker comps, and then it's kind of like triple DPS, better known I guess as pick comps. We have Widowmakers, Hanzos, Roadhogs, all just very good at getting eliminations and picks, which again in competitive is incredibly strong if you can start steamrolling. But people are now starting to call this the horse meta, because whatever compositions are starting to come out the woodwork, either the bunker comp I just mentioned, or the pick compositions with like snipers and Roadhog, both of those require an Orisa. So she is very much spearheading whatever meta we're going into, but with that, she has given rise to Roadhog alongside, which again I think is a really good thing for the hero. Most importantly, not just because he's used in bunker comp, but he is used in these more flexible compositions, and especially when the rest of your team have picked triple DPS, you can pick Roadhog and still get a lot done and not be throwing in any capacity. And that's a really good thing. But finally, before we finish, I did want to point out what's happening with the other tanks, especially in GM, because again, that's where we're seeing the most impact. That's not to say that this isn't happening in stuff like Diamond or Master, but again, climbing up the ranks, much more prevalent I guess. Diva's pick rate has gone down. Reinhardt's pick rate has gone down to a really low amount in comparison to what he's used to. Zarya has dropped. Orisa has gone up. Winston's stayed around the same, and it's the same with Wrecking Ball. So this is a really big meta shift, especially when you're looking at the tanks in the game. And what's really exciting is that we're sort of expecting a tank hero for Hero 30, which is, a month and a half away, like 6 weeks before we get our next hero. It'll be quite an interesting and competitive space for that new hero to jump into, and it might change the game even more. Not to mention with rumors around role queue and all that jazz, I'm really excited to see how the tank meta does unfold. But if you are an Orisa or especially Roadhog player, you are going to absolutely love the way things are going. But as I said, in competitive, where you don't need the team communication, you don't need to be running goats all the time, if you're just really good at popping off on Roadhog, you could fit into a lot of compositions that you couldn't before. And it's a really exciting time, and I'm really glad to see this hero be in the most popular position he's ever been with this iteration. The only time that he was this popular before was with old Roadhog way back when. So these are good things that are happening to the hero, and I'm very excited to sort of learn more and do more with him in the future. But thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and a quick shout out to HyperX, who we've been working with for a good amount of time now actually. We're coming close to 2 years ever since we've been partnered with them, and they're bringing out some amazing stuff. They are a company that's grown quite a lot, with a lot of bigger influencers under their umbrella. Myself and Miska use their keyboard and mice, and also quite recently, a few months now, we've had the Cloud Mix headsets, which are a life changer. Wireless headphones are definitely the future, and they're an absolute blessing to work with. But again, quick shout out to them. Thanks again, take care, we'll see you then.